Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show. And with me right now, I've got a very special guest. He is the master of the 5-star Frog Splash, WWE champion, ECW champion, tag team champion, WWE Hall of Famer. I'm talking about the one, the only, Rob Van Dam. Rob, welcome to Wrestling with Heart.
Thanks, dude. Glad to be me. Boom. How about that?
That's right. All right.
I am fantastic. Fantastic.
There we go. All right. So, growing up in Battle Creek, Michigan, were you always a wrestling fan?
Well, from a certain age, 14, 15, and then once I became one, I was all in. But there was a time where the other kids would talk about it and watch it, and I was reluctant and listened to the parents that thought it was stupid. I remember laughing at the names of the wrestlers. Brutus Beefcake, Big John Stud, hilarious. And then not long after, I watched one episode with my friends just because I didn't want to be left out like I normally was, and then I was hooked.
Yeah, it's always that first show that you watch you're just fascinated by, just right away.
You got me.
Anyone in particular that you were just like, man, this is so cool? Like any wrestlers you were fascinated with?
Yeah, what I remember about that first show was Corporal Kirshner. And he did, I think he jumped out of a helicopter and repelled or something on the cable, the wire. They showed something like that where I was impressed, and I was like, wow, man, okay, that dude's legit. And then I saw him get screwed over, like he got jumped from behind or something by, I think it was the Iron Sheik. And then it was like, what? Next week he gets a chance back at him? Oh, hell yeah, I'm gonna be right here next week. I'm not missing that.
Yeah, it's always those cliffhangers that leave you hanging, like wondering what's going to happen next. That unpredictability factor, and it's that weekly episodic television. You can't miss it. You can't, you know, lose out on an opportunity to watch. And growing up, I know you're doing a lot of kickboxing and martial arts. Did you get involved with that at such a young age as well?
So I got into kickboxing because I wanted to wrestle. So I was already a fan, just like with wrestling. I would watch wrestling, and I would watch it was called Chop Socky Theater, the martial arts movies, and I would imitate what I saw those guys doing. I'd run up a tree and do a backflip, and for being self-taught, I was handling quite a bit. Had the moves down with a lot of stuff, but with the wrestling, at this point, I knew that, and so did my other three friends. We were going to be pro wrestlers when we grew up. So on Monday nights, we would all go to my friend Robert's house, and it would become the Robert Dome. His mom would be at bingo. His dad was either working or sleeping, and we would move all the furniture out of the way, put all the cushions on the floor, and we would wrestle while we were watching wrestling. And we would choreograph matches. And I don't remember what all we did, really, how much of it was choreographed. But anyway, we knew that we wanted to do that when we grow up. And we were at that point, and then we found out in Battle Creek, there's this dude that's got an actual ring right in his yard. And this is the only one, nowadays, you go to martial arts dojo, maybe there's a ring, or you go to boxing classes or whatever. This was like a really small city, didn't have any of that yet. And we went and knocked on the guy's door and said, dude, we got to get in your ring, man. We're going to be pro wrestlers. We got to get in there. And the guy was Kit Likens. He was a kickboxing promoter, and he ran kickboxing shows and fought himself. And he told me and us that if we would show up and go through all of his stretches and drills, and then even had to spar with all of his kickboxing students. And then after everyone left to go home, if we did all that, then the wrestlers could have the ring afterwards. So that's how I got into it. And I found out that I was really good at kickboxing and at wrestling. So I was knocking people out, and I was able to hang, with people with a lot more experience that were adults, and I was just a kid, and so I thought at one point when I was like 18, I thought maybe I'll be a kickboxer, maybe I'll be a wrestler. But
What
obviously wrestling took off for me.
what was like the driving point behind like, okay, I've chosen wrestling. I'm going for it full on. Was there like one
Um,
particular moment?
hmm. I think, like for the first couple of years, I was taught to take that and let it be a little shaky as far as like not getting overconfident. You know, there was still times when I would get scared and think maybe I made the wrong decision. I had a scholarship to go to college, and my dad wanted me to do that. And I said, yeah, but dad, let me just follow my dream. I said, give me 2 years. In 2 years, I'll know. And I didn't know if I was going to have to referee first. I didn't know how it worked. I was 185 pounds. So I was going to do whatever, not whatever I had to do a la Pat Patterson, but I didn't know, I didn't know about that stuff yet. But I was going to do what I could do. And if that meant refereeing for a while and working my way up or whatever, I said, in 2 years, I'll know. If I'm not going to make it, I'll still be young enough to go to college. So that was the deal I made with my dad. Um, First territory we did was in 91. That was USWA. And that was the first chance I had to actually go to a building. And I've already wrestled there before. The people already know who I am. Every other show, no one knows who I am. I'm introducing myself every single show. So that was a big difference doing the loop. Every Monday, we're back in Memphis. Yes, I got fans in Memphis. They love me there. They love me in Louisville, Kentucky. And so that was the first time I think that I was really, really having fun. Being the only baby face with a car full of heels, I was making more money because I was able to sell merchandise and they weren't. And we were all chipping in for gas and everything. Me, Sabu, Judge Dredd, Dango, Chris Candido actually rode with us for a little bit during that time. That's when I met him, and Sonny slash Tammy was way back then in 91. But it was also this same run in USWA. I met Ron Slinker there, and he was the first one to tell me that I would be a world champion someday. And he also gave me the name Rob Van Dam, same guy.
Mm.
He said I might be wrong. He said I wasn't wrong about he named a couple people. I wasn't wrong about Rick Rude. Wasn't wrong about Ricky Steamboat. I got the feeling, same feeling, from you. You're going to be world champion someday. And this was just, I've been wrestling like 1 year, so it's pretty green.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough industry. It's just you have a lot of conditioning and a lot of techniques that you have to learn when you're starting out. And I know you were trained by the Sheik, who was Sabu's uncle. Tell me about the training process for you. What was your experience like?
Yeah, I'm so glad that I got the training that I did. Uh, and that, me and Sabu are the workers that we are because of the Sheik. The most important thing that he taught me was the mindset. he had me to where I I believe in the moment so much that everyone else has to also, because it's really real to me. And he taught us how to do that. It was all about uh everything that we do is done for a reason because we want to win the match. It was all about tight wrestling, waist locks and reversals and leg dives and arm bars and headlocks. It was all trying to put the shoulders down, trying to pin the guy, and it was all about that. And that was drilled into us so much they would never escape, even if I was on the top rope about to do a backflip or whatever. In my mind, like I had to fit that in there within the context of me believing the moment and this is going to be helping me win somehow. Otherwise, it didn't belong. And so that's what he really taught, because he wasn't about high flying. But now I feel like there's a generation of wrestlers that were inspired by me, not just me, my peers too. And they took a lot of what they thought was cool, but they didn't have that training, the fundamentals, and that's really the nucleus of everything. And so some of them don't have that nucleus, and so they just have, the outer shell, the electron spinning around nothing. And sometimes it comes across that way, like they're just doing moves, maybe not for a reason, and also moves that fans can't even relate to. Like I like the fans to feel everything that I'm feeling and to experience it with me. And it's kind of hard to do that when you're jumping off the third story building through glass, barbed wire, table, then bam, and then just boom, stopping all of a sudden on the cement. Fans don't know what that feels like. That's almost, it's like there's like a disconnect. Whereas with a strong chop, ooh, you can share that pain,
Yes.
and it's that connection that you get that's important to build and to keep throughout the whole match.
It's that psychology. You have to know why you're doing a certain move at a particular time. That way, the fans can relate to it and resonate with what's going on when you're following what's happening in the ring.
Sheik was great about that. The mindset. I really like when I'm in the ring and I turn it on, like it's like I don't really have like a slow motion or whatever. So a lot of times if I'm in the ring and it's not during a match, but it's in the daytime or someone asks me for help or whatever, I get in there and I just go all out. I end up scaring them, if not hurting them a lot of times, because I'm not just gonna like walk into the ropes. I'm gonna boom, I'm committed, you know what I mean? And so I want them to understand that and to be committed also. So that's why I do it.
Yeah, and with your style, I think that a lot of fans have really been amazed by the work that you have done. I want to talk about your journey in the wrestling business. You'd mentioned going to Memphis and Louisville and working the various independent promotions. Eventually, you get the call to join ECW, and have had a long relationship with Paul Heyman. Talk to me about how you got recruited to join ECW.
Well, Sabu was already there, see, and he called me every couple of weeks, and he'd say, "Did Paul call you yet?" And I'd say, "No." He'd say, "What? He said he was going to call you. Damn it!" And he'd hang up, and I didn't really care because I didn't care. I was wrestling for All Japan, and especially back then, when you got to wrestle for Japan, we made way more money than we would make on the independents here. So I would go to Japan, say for 2 weeks. I could be good for 4 months, paying the bills that I had at the time. And then when I would get work, it wasn't even it wasn't even the same ballpark as what I'm getting paid in Japan. And so anyway, when Paul finally did call, I turned down what he was what he was offering.
Mhm.
It wasn't worth it. And I was like, nah, I'm good, thanks. And Sabu's like, what? He offered you what? That damn it. Let me call him back. I'll call you back. boom. And Paul called back, up the money a little bit, and threw out the idea of me coming in to put Mikey Whipwreck over, which wasn't, how I wanted to come in. And anyway, it ended up working out. I went up there in January of '96. My first match in Philly was with Axel Rotten. And I remember I was really intimidated by that crowd because it's so intimidating. You know, I
Yeah,
was down
it's
in I was down
huge.
in Georgia. In Georgia, you can be like, "Come on, everybody, let's go!" And just get everyone to clap with you. It's like a different mentality. And here, they're all adults wearing black shirts, studying you, waiting for you to slip so they can say, "You effed up, you effed up." You know what I mean? And that was like not something I wanted to get. So I remember like doing a couple of helicopter kicks or something, spinning round kicks that I would do to show off before my match. And Axel was like, and then they popped. The crowd was with him, and I was like, "Oh no, they don't like me." It was testing.
Yeah, and so over time though, you're able to adapt and put together quite the repertoire of
Mastered it.
moves. Yes,
Yeah,
and
that was my favorite crowd after a while. I loved when I figured that crowd out, and then I said, "You guys are going to put incredible, almost unachievable expectations on me. I'm going to top you and call myself the whole effing show and come up here and back it up. What do you think about that?" So there was a lot of pressure to always outdo myself, and I loved it.
yeah, I mean it's that that anxiety, that pressure to do well, and once you get over those fears, you're able to put on some amazing performances, and you've got to share the ring with so many legends over the years. Who have been some of your favorites to work against?
Um, Legends in particular, you mean? I mean, some of my guys. My favorite guy is Sabu. I've always enjoyed those matches. I love working Jeff Hardy, Rey Mysterio, um, and I loved working with Bam Bam Bigelow. He gave me some great matches. Jerry Lynn gave me some great matches. I liked working with Bob Holly and with Test. Had some good matches with Big Show, even. I was taught really early in my career that you bring what you bring to the table, but in order to be the best, you have to consistently put on the best matches, regardless of who you're in the ring with. So I always looked at it like that with my career. I looked at it like, okay, I might be in here with a 160-pound dude like Spike Dudley or Little Guido. I want to have the best match of the card. I want the fans to think that my match was their favorite match. I might be in there with someone like Viscera or One Man Gang or Bam Bam Bigelow or Giant, right? Total different match, but I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to bring it, and I still want to try my hardest to have the best match of the show. So that was the driving force. The challenge was, regardless of who I'm in there with, I wanted to be consistent in having that
Yeah.
five-star match.
Going back, you had talked about Slicker predicting that you were going to be a world champion, and that prophecy came to fruition in 2006 when you defeated John Cena at ECW's One Night Stand pay-per-view to become the WWE champion. I mean, that had to have been an amazing feeling.
It was, no doubt about it. It was an amazing night that could never be replaced with anything else that's happened in my whole career. Like those people were just so awesome that night. The energy was so perfect. Everybody was 100% for everything that I stood for and equally against everything that he stood for. And I can't imagine the stars aligning any more than they did that night. And for me, the reason that night was so special is because I manifested that. I totally believe that I never would have been WWE world champion if I hadn't changed the entire playing field and creating a pathway for this to happen while sticking to my guns and refusing to conform throughout my whole career. And this was the night it paid off because I was the one of a kind nonconformist that I am, because we brought ECW back, because going into this match, my whole career was the build up for this match. Because of all that, when I won and was holding the belt afterwards, it was vindicating, it was validating, and it was almost too good to believe it was true.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the wrestlers that came out that night to celebrate. You had Kurt Angle, you had Big Show, you had Guido. All these guys being a part of that moment, that was magical. I
You know,
mean,
Stanley, that now that I think about it, that's actually what made it real for me. I think if the wrestlers hadn't come in the ring to celebrate with me, I might have still been saying, okay, now what's gonna happen? Like now or someone's gonna come in and spear me and take the belt from me from behind, or I didn't allow myself to believe that it was gonna happen until it actually happened. All the way through when I'm jumping up to the top rope, I'm still thinking, okay, watch me not make this jump now. Like I learned to be skeptical through experience. So until it actually happens, I try not to expect.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people have mixed feelings or their feelings about WWE's ECW revival, but that was in my opinion, probably the number one best moment of that resurrection was you winning that championship.
Best moment of my career as well,
Hmm.
by the way,
Yes.
Um, and the fact that I planted the seed to bring ECW back and made that all possible and stuff, is something that I hold as a very valued accolade in my career. A hell of an accomplishment, like
Yes.
third brand, because I went to Vince saying, we love ECW, the fans love it, the wrestlers love it. Let's do ECW. And yeah, it paid off. That was the best moment. And then a few weeks later, when we were in Philly, I was going to be going back to Philly, my town where I cut my teeth, where I learned how to put everything together. And I was going to be going back with the WWE Championship, saying, look, everyone in Philly, we did it, man. We did it. And instead, I got beat by the 1, 2, 3, Paul Heyman making the count. And that was probably the lowest moment in my career. Like I felt so rotten. I felt like I let everybody down. Everyone started throwing their drinks in the ring. We're getting pelted. I knew they weren't trying to throw it at me, but I rolled out of the ring, rolled under it, and if there was a gutter, I would have rolled myself right into the gutter. I just felt so bad. I felt like such a failure at that moment. So it was my highest moment, and then followed shortly after by my lowest.
Well, I think the thing is that you were able to redeem yourself by going back and putting on more incredible matches, getting to work another WrestleMania, getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. I mean, that's another huge accolade in itself
Oh,
because
for
you're
sure.
being recognized not only by your peers but by the fans. And
Yeah, it's great. Everywhere I go, I'm introduced as WWE Hall of Famer, and that says a lot, especially if someone doesn't know who I am. If someone says, "Oh, well, I know you're a wrestler," everyone's excited, but I don't. They say he's a WWE Hall of Famer, then okay, that says that I was successful.
yeah. I want to switch gears and talk about some of the stuff you've done outside of wrestling. I know you've done a lot of Make-A-Wishes and things to help out in your community. Can you tell me anything that you've done as far as giving back to your community?
Um, Sure, sure. Like a lot of the Make-A-Wish stuff has been done through the WWE office. I used to always volunteer. It would be Tim White, rest his soul, the former referee, that would be in charge of that usually. And he would come to the dressing room and say, I need three wrestlers, to go meet some kids or radio contest winners or whatever. I was always, first, to dude, consider me every day. I'm yours. I'm ready to do it. Sometimes he would say, we're gonna mix it up today, Rob. Give some other people a chance. Because I loved it, because I love connecting with the real people, and disconnecting from the locker room mentality. Here where I live in Las Vegas, there's something called Opportunity Village. And I've been thinking I need to reconnect with them because it's been a while since I've seen them. But I used to, I've done a few things with them. And at Opportunity Village, they employ specially challenged people. And so they have jobs, like they're putting things together. Um, Whether it's radios or things that then they sell, and it's something that I mentioned recently because there's a kind of similar organization in England that I'm talking to them about doing something coming up, not till October. But what they do is very similar to Make-A-Wish, where they find, or I don't know how they get their um their person who has a dream, and then they try to make that person's dreams come true. And there's a guy, and his dream is having wrestling shows. So that's where I come in. But I actually told him about Opportunity Village and was saying maybe there's a way they can connect, and he looked it up, and maybe there is a way. But stuff like that, it's just when it's effortless, easy to do, and it can like really mean a whole lot to somebody else, then it's almost like a no-brainer. If I'm able to do it, it's like getting way more for my money. Just stop it and taking a picture with someone and just saying, boom, that was easy. And then for them, they're you lit them on fire. Like they go off and they have electricity coming on. Oh my God, oh my God. Sometimes. And then, I remember because I was them. I was a fan, and I kept those pictures and showed them to all my friends. Me and this wrestler, me and this wrestler. So I love having that superpower of being able to spread positive energy and to make people feel good, whether they're Make-A-Wish kids, contest winners, normal people on the street, as long as they're not horrible people.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to give back and pay it forward because you just never know what somebody's going through in their life.
And that's true. Absolutely true. And that's something to always keep in mind is you don't know someone else's story. As soon as you ask, just assume there is an answer, because people be, what's this guy in such a big hurry for? Guess what? There is an answer to that. Just because you don't know the answer doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, Rob, this has been wonderful getting the chance to speak with you. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find more about you on social media? If you have anything you want to plug or promote, feel free to do
Yeah.
so.
So I'm at the real RVD everywhere on social media. And what I would like to plug is OnlyWrestlers, which is an entity that I helped create. It's a platform that connects wrestling fans with wrestlers. We got more fans and more wrestlers joining it like every day. We got over 300 wrestlers now. Still, a lot of my friends are waiting for me to get with them to explain it and have them open up their profile. But you stay connected various different ways. You subscribe to the wrestlers. Myself and Katie, my wife, we're always free. We always will be. So you don't even have to pay. You can subscribe to us, keep in touch. I like to update my story like Instagram throughout the day, and say, boom, I'm about to hit this workout. Then I got two podcasts. We're having a productive day. Let's get them W's. I just keep it close and personal and keep up to date. But there's also a lot of other ways to give content. And there's a community chat room where we can all go in. I go in there every once in a while and just see who's in there. It could be wrestlers and fans, everyone. So like I said, it's a way to bring everyone together. And once they join, the followers become part of an association. And then this is where we really do things together, because now the fans can vote on things that help move our company forward. And as we grow and as the followers base grows, then the things that they vote on will also grow, and they'll have more leverage. They'll vote on more important things. The whole idea, the whole concept is built to adapt to growth from start all the way. There is no finish, but all the way up as far as we can see, there's places to put the growth. And we start our first actual live wrestling show March 20th in Hollywood. We're hoping to raise a little bit of money and awareness to some of the California fire victims. In fact, I'm going to auction off one of my outfits, which I hate to do. I don't like to part with my outfits, but there's one that's got these flames on it. And I just think, damn, you know what? I love California. I love LA, and I love those big mansions up there in Pacific Palisades. And anyway, we got quite a lineup on this show in Hollywood. Tessa Blanchard, Chris Masters, Brian Cage, Luke Hawks is there, Charlie Haas, I'm pretty sure. But you'll see that. You'll see that advertising out there. March 20th. That's our first, and then from then on, we're going to have the fans will vote on who wrestles who, what kind of matches we have, what towns we come to. There's all kinds of ways to have a lot of fun with it. It's OnlyWrestlers.com. Like I said, you can sign up to me, Katie, or the Only Wrestlers profile for free and never have to pay.
Yeah, I like what you're doing, helping out with raising money for the wildfires in California and giving back in that way as well. So I wish you the best of luck with that. And
Sure, we're not going to come anywhere near, like I heard the Grammys or something like that is going to be donated. They'll be helping a lot more than us, but we're making an effort.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to give back and in any way possible. And Rob, again,
starts with energy. Everything starts with energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
Rob, thanks again, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Cool, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed the convo.
Yes. Likewise. Take care.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day, Taylor. Thanks.
You too. Bye-bye.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.